The 1.21 Tricky Trials update is out, which means my world border is gone. In the last episode, I defeated the dragon and found an elytra, which means I am ready for some serious exploration. The number one thing on my list is all the wolf variants, because I have a very special build planned for them in the next episode. I started at my homestead, picked the direction of west, and then started to fly. I'm looking for so many things. The full list is on the screen right now. I am not going to stop exploring until I found every single thing on the list. The list includes every single wolf type in the game, so we can have every single kind of dog in the game, and that's a lot of different biomes to find in addition to the ones that I need to fulfill the items on the list. So I'm glad I packed a lot of rockets. While traveling around, I stopped at anything that looked interesting. This included villages and portals just to collect up basic resources and to keep an eye out for places I may want to build in the future. The first thing I found on the list was not very interesting. I found the regular pale wolf and I went ahead and tamed him. I tamed a couple of them because I didn't have them yet, and I do need all of the dog types. I've seen this one before and I'm having my eyes out for new ones. I didn't have to look long before my wish was granted. This little doggo here is the very first part of my 1.21 journey, and I love him. This one is the chestnut wolf found in old growth spruce taigas, and that's where I am right now, so it makes sense, but I think it's going to be my favorite. Maybe because I found it first, but also because the colors are so gorgeous. I actually traveled for quite a distance with my little crew before we added to it, and the second little new addition to the 1.21 update is going to be the woods wolf. I tamed up a couple of them and we started down the path with everybody all together. I wasn't too far from where I want the dogs to live, so I decided to go home so I could unpack, make room for more things, and take off again while the dogs could stay in their forever home. My second trip out was much longer, but also much more fruitful. This was an exciting one for me. As I head out into the world, I started seeing biomes that I hadn't seen before. This trip included a jungle and a sparse jungle. Both were quite large, and I was easily able to pick up the cocoa beans and fully check something off my list. After that, I flew into my favorite area of the entire adventure while I was exploring. I popped into the desert temple and dug my way down to the treasure. I was lucky enough to get some of the Doom armor trims. Not the Doom, the Dune armor trims. That one's a little hard to say. And then of course used my brush to brush about everything in the area. The only thing interesting from here were the pottery sherds, which I'm always really happy to get lots of because I enjoy decorating with them. Check out this cool spider spawner. It's one of the poison spider spawners just hanging out on the surface. That of course leads me to the red sand, which allows me to check another thing off my list. I picked up a few different stacks and we'll come back later for more. Right next to that, as you probably already noticed, was the terracotta. All the Badlands with every different form of terracotta I could possibly want, and I can always come back and dig up more. While I was in the Badlands, I looked down and found an armadillo. I think they are so cute. I pulled out my brush and brushed him for all the scoot, and before I knew it, my brush broke. It turns out scoot actually takes a lot of durability to get off the armadillo. I'm gonna need more brushes. Or maybe more armadillos. Either way, this checks another thing off my list. I found the armadillo by checking out this gorgeous area. I definitely took down the coordinates for future building opportunities. The beautiful area was adjacent to a warm ocean, which I was easily able to spot by the beautiful teal water, and I flew over and dropped in so I could pick up a bunch of coral. The coral was not something I need right away as much as someplace I wanted to find a source of for later. The coral, of course, is in the same place as the sea pickles, and I'm able to check 2 things off of my list before we move on in our exploration. With so many important resources in this area, I put up a nether portal, and then I took all the coordinates down both overworld and in the nether so we could connect a tunnel to it in the future. There's a 100% chance I will be back to this area. Might as well make it easy for myself. I found my first camel in the world because I found my first desert village, and I love him, but he's not on my list for today. I will put down his coordinates and come back in a future episode. And another poison spider spawner just sitting out in the open. The next area of the world led me into a gigantic savanna, and there were 2 pillager towers over here. Now, I'm looking for allays. This is how you do it. The first one, no luck. It didn't have any, but this one, I quickly jumped in, helped all my new ally friends escape by giving them fences, and then tried to escape myself to get out of the area. I actually got a little low on my hearts a couple times, but it wasn't too bad because I have my wings now and I was able to just fly off and heal a little bit further off in the distance. I flew up really quickly to check the chest and got really lucky with 2 of the sentry armor trims. After collecting all my treasure, I made sure I got all the allays I could find because I tend to lose some of these guys when I'm on my way traveling back home. I put all the allays on leads because I thought that might make them come a little bit faster or more easily, otherwise they fly off and do whatever they want to do, but I just don't think this helped. I ended up losing 10 leads somewhere off in the wilderness because they kept coming off the leads every time I tried to change a level. Eventually, I just gave up on the leads and let them roam free while we were trying to travel 2,000 blocks back to where I wanted them at my homestead, and I almost missed our new friend. Paying so much attention to the allays, I almost didn't see this beautiful little boy. I actually had to travel quite a distance across the savannah before we found a second one of the spotted wolves, and I love this little hyena skin that they have going on. They're super cute, very unique, and it was fun to see them in the wild. So I trained up a second one and we continued on our journey back 2,000 blocks to get home. Right on the edge of the savannah, I found the world's tiniest flower forest ever. I was able to get the tulips that I was looking for, but I really want someplace where I can come and put tulip farms up, and I'm just not sure there are enough flowers here for the variety I wanted. For the time being, I'm going to consider it complete because I did manage to pick up quite a few more tulips and some of the alliums even, but I found this mysterious thing. There were at least 2 places over here where I randomly picked up scoot. You know, the new drop from the armadillo, except for, there was I didn't do it. I didn't brush it. It was just lying on the ground when we got into the area. I'm wondering if one of the other animals tried to attack it. Do they drop scoot when they die? I just don't even know what happened there. But for now, we'll call this complete. Maybe. On our way back home, we passed through what is another one of the sparse jungles, or maybe a continuation of the first. One way or another, we ran into one of the rust wolves, and I thought these guys spawned in packs, so I kept looking. I got lucky enough that around the corner a little bit was hiding a second one of the rust wolves, and we were able to tame him as well, and the crew for our adventure home was growing. As we were going through the jungle, there were definitely parrots. The parrots weren't on the list, but I was already traveling home with multiple dogs and multiple allays, so we were moving extremely slow, and I figured this was probably the best time as any, so I went ahead and tamed myself the 2 parrots that I found. This blue one kept flying away, so I had to work really hard, super patient, just to get to it, versus my little cockatiel, the white one with the yellow. It only took 1 seed to get that one, but the blue one needed 13, and I had to bounce around and wait like crazy. One way or another, we have 2 parrots to take us home. So here we have it, 5 allays, 2 parrots, and 4 wolves tamed into dogs, following me home for 1,000 blocks to get back to where they're going to be safe. Yeah, I might have skipped a bit of footage on this one. It took some time. I dropped all the wolves off at a location to be mentioned in the future and put all the allies and parrots in my home. I decided it was time to head out for a third adventure because I still had major things that I needed to find on my list, some of them being wolves that needed to be brought back home, and so I decided to go ahead and pick a different direction. For our first adventure, we went west. On the second one, I went north and kind of northwest, so I figure for this one we'll go east and southeast, so we're going entirely in the opposite direction. The downside is that for my home plot, I have to go much further to get in the blocks outside of that 1,000 block border where everything is populating and new. But you know what? I need to find a lot of things. So I repacked my bags for a third time. On my fourth adventure out, I found this little guy. He's the black wolf, and it was actually a little bit tricky to find him. I have been to 4 of the pine forests now. I guess it's not the regular spruce forest, it's the pine forest. To be honest, I didn't even know there was a pine forest in the game until I found out that the black wolf spawns there. And then I was looking for a friend, and I couldn't find a friend for our little black guy. So I started breeding. I thought perhaps if I bred the white one, the pale one, with the black one, that I could get another one of the black ones because I was in the right biome. But I tried the same thing in other biomes and found that what I really got was just one of the 2 that I was breeding together. A kind of test, I guess. This became a lot more clear when I was overlooking for the next wolf, which was in a grove biome, which seems like it should be green, but the grove biomes are actually the cedar trees up in the mountains, and it's this really beautiful colored wolf. So I was looking for him, and while I was looking for him, I was doing the breeding to see what would happen. For the record, when you breed 2 of the wolves together, you get one of those 2 wolves. We did eventually run into our snowy wolf, who is the grove biome wolf I was telling you about, and I really love the way that there's a little bit of a purple added to the coat on this particular wolf. Very adorable. Our next scientific knowledge was by accident. I walked into the powdered snow while the wolves were following me, and I thought, oh no, the wolves, they're gonna get hurt, it's gonna be a problem. They were fine. They were completely fine. A combination of the wolves being smart enough not to walk into the snow and follow me, and also, as I was there, quite a few of them looked like they were standing on the snow. Although they were avoiding the powder part, they were on it, definitely. I don't think it hurts the dogs. I had enough dogs with me to head back home and clear my pockets, and while I was there, I did a quick check between a couple of the different animal types here. Now, neither of these animals should have spawned in this location, and we definitely got one of the 2 that I was breeding with. So, now we know. As I flew off into the world on adventure mode again, I went over this gigantic cold ocean, and it was nighttime and it was raining. It was such a dreary place. I took note of the quartz for the trail ruins that I found on the way. We'll definitely come back and do that some other time. What I'm in search for now are blue orchids and lily pads and things that you would find in a swamp. And it would be really nice if I could find a mangrove swamp, which I eventually did across this big new area on the other side of the cold ocean. First up was checking the blue orchids off the list. The mangrove swamp on the other side of this swamp was very small, but in the end, it definitely gave me enough of the muddy mangrove root dirt stuff that I really was looking for. You just can't make it. You have to come, you have to get it, and it's part of a build that I want to do in the future. I farmed a bunch of it up and checked it off the list. I really like lily pads. I have been able to get a few of these from the Wandering Trader, which is nice, but I really wanted a good big source of them so that I could use them all over the place. I enjoy decorating with water, particularly with ponds, and when I'm putting together a little lake or a pond, they're just what I'm looking for. Now they're checked off the list. Before leaving the swamp, I wrote down the coordinates for the witch farm, or the witch house, that I found just in case I want to put together a witch farm in the future. The wolves were proving to be a lot more difficult to find than I expected. I've done a lot more exploring than I anticipated doing for this video, although it's very fun. It's been a lot of fun to see so much of my world. But I went ahead and found what seemed to be a gigantic snowy tundra, which is exactly what I need for one of the last two wolf types that I'm searching for. And I searched and searched and searched. After about an hour of searching through the tundra, I found this beautiful little ashen wolf, and right next to it was a friend, which was really good because I don't think I could have done another hour. In fact, the whole little pack here seemed to be just on the edge of the tundra that I was searching. I can't believe how long this wolf took to find. On our way back with the ashen wolves, I found one of the forest wolves who had clearly been busy. In fact, even while we were just standing there, he took out another sheep, and I decided he was such a bold little thing, he would come home and we would call him Butcher. The road home took us through a couple other really cool places. This was one of those villages that's all detriment and torn down. Usually I find zombies or drowned or something like that in here, but the whole thing was empty. But right next to it, I followed a little trail of tulips into a large flower forest. I found some tulips before, but it was just the smallest I had ever seen, and this place was huge and had all the flowers, and then all of a sudden, through the trees was an open field of sunflowers. Not only did we add a much better flower forest location to the list of things that I wanted to find, but I was also able to check sunflowers off the list. I flew up on top of a hill so I could get a better look at the area, and I think that a neat build could be put here in the future. I'm thinking something very organic and natural and down to earth. With only one wolf type to go, I geared up for what was going to be a grueling search, and I didn't even get to the area I saw that I might find him. And there he was, the little striped wolf, and quite a few of his friends. This is definitely the wolf that people were saying looked like a hyena. They're very cool, and because their coloring is so unique in the wild, I feel like it's almost as if Mojang added a different type of animal as well as the armadillo, whom I stopped to get a little more scoot from while I was there. That last dog brings me to the end of my list of everything that I was looking for, including all the wolf types in the game, which of course now give us all the dog types in the game, which are going to be really fun for the next episode. Thank you for joining me on my adventure today. I can't wait to show you guys what I have planned for the next few episodes. With that, I wish you all the best. Minecraft Day.